Here we are. Better late than never. And I need some technical help somewhere. I don't know what I'm doing wrong here, but I actually hit the go live now button early tonight, and so it's taken 5 minutes to connect. So hey, sorry about that, but here I am, guys. Better late than never. And cheers. So we've got a few in the room already, which is kind of awesome. Who we got here? Wildman. Hey, buddy, welcome along. Steve Sadusky, Eric Unkaffer. 6th Street Garage, welcome along. Matthew, hey, buddy. Josh Homan, as always, good to have you here. Andy Nickel, awesome. Who else? We got Beagle Bob's here. Tavo, very trying. Yeah. Thank you, Tavo. Appreciate that. Good to have you here, though. You're in the room early tonight. You must be early in the morning over there. Matthew, Kiwi should find a millennial to help with the tech. Yeah, it's not that challenging, really. You just there's a little wee button on the screen that says go live now. You hit that. And I was down in my man cave and it wasn't connecting. So I came up here to the kitchen and it still wasn't connecting. So then I just reloaded it again and it took 5 seconds to go through. So I don't know, must be I don't know, can't say it must be. In my brain, I'm thinking is it's just like a broadband width or, some way of that it just doesn't have enough bandwidth to actually go live. I don't know. But all helpful hints will be I'll be grateful for. 69 Coronet guy, hey, Driveway of Misfits, Charles Dalton. Well, there's a ton of you guys here already. Roy Miller, Pop's Mustang Shop, welcome along. Steve Sadusky, hello Kiwi, yep, that's me. Taro, kia ora Cuzzy, yeah, there you go. Yep, it's a good Kiwi expression, isn't it? John Giddings, 105 in New Zealand. There you go. John Oskowski, hey Kiwi, how you doing? I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. Been working hard. I know that. Tavo, rearrange my work schedule to be here on time. Sicky. Oh, you can't be doing that every week, mate. Driveway of Misfits, I'd help with the tech, but it's after hours. Oh, okay. Good to see you. Good to see where your priorities are, mate. Now, Danny Boyd, hey man, listening while I put RGB fans. I don't need into every available fan portal on my computer case. Okay. Fred Nick, good morning, sir. Beagle Bob, probably something to do with the movement of the magnetic poles. There you go. Jeff, Kiwi and all, another South Aussie. There you go. The Lowerman's Vintage Garage. Hey, man. Great to have you along with the Lowerman's Vintage Garage. That doesn't sound... Are you a new viewer? I don't think I've seen your name in here before, but hey, welcome along. Annie Nichols. So good news. Turns out the clot in my lung... I didn't realise you had a clot in your lung. That's freaked me out for 6 weeks. It's the kind of tiny clot that most people get without even knowing. The DVT doctor says throw away the blood thinners. Well, that I do know is a good thing. Yeah, blood thinners, you only want to do that if you really freaking have to, man. Granddad's Junk, welcome along. How's that big old poly engine coming along? Probably faster than mine, I'm guessing. John Oskowski, what's going on in the garage today? Well, today, actually, we had the black big block fastback Mustang in, doing a spring swap on the front of that to give it a bit more ground clearance. And then I rolled in a 69 Pontiac Bonneville 428 convertible, which is really quite a cool car. So we've got that up on the rack at the moment, not a big restoration or anything like that, just a bunch of little stuff to another one of these cars that's not been used for a long time, dry rotted tires and bad brakes and stuff like that. Just that kind of routine stuff to get them back on the road and behaving well, So yeah, it's that's kind of a cool. So watch out for that video coming up. It's a big car, big green, green paint, green interior with a white top, and it's a big tank. But it seems, I just kind of drove it across the car park and kind of gave it a little goose just to see what it had there, and it was like, whoa, okay, this thing's pretty lively. Yeah. What's going on? Steve Sadusky, I would help you, but then it wouldn't work at all. There you go. Yeah, sounds like me. J. Russell Finch, checking for those electric seat tracks and transmission. Yeah, well, you check back again next week, and we'll see how we're doing. But this week there's zero progress. Granddad's Junk, Tavo, when's your next live? That's a good question. I actually watched a bit of that. It wasn't bad. Driveway of Misfits. Okay, just for you. You're having Wi-Fi issues in your man cave. Yeah, it would seem that way. It didn't seem to want to connect. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm actually going to pick up the computer or the laptop and stagger on downstairs with my bourbon in one hand, you guys balanced on the other, and see if we disconnect, I will kind of launch again. So yeah, keep an eye. It's probably going to go dark and then get lighter. Yeah, it's because I've fallen down the stairs. So, call me an ambulance, all right? Oh, trying to balance all this shit up and go downstairs. Good Lord. Well, we're still connected, so I don't know. Maybe it's just patience rather than location. I'm really not sure. Dr. Art's in the house. How you doing, man? Oh, here we go. Down in the man cave. Put you down there. Ooh, now I'm going to need to plug you in because we'll run out of juice in 2 hours. So I am still here. Hopefully you can hear me. I know you can't see me. There we go, plugged in. Right. Here we go. Normal service has resumed. And here we are. Now, where was I up to? Ooh, where's my drink gone? Now I have to go back up a little bit. Paul Funk, hey man, welcome along. Andy Nichols, celebrating with a good stiff cup of tea. Well, I guess you're trying to be a little bit healthy, aren't you, at the moment? So, which is, smart. Tavo, nothing planned at this stage. Lots of life to deal with. Tavo, mate, I know exactly what you mean there. Yeah. Danny Boyd, 428s are rare, only made for 67 to 69. Okay, I didn't know that. All right. Yeah, they would make them fairly rare. 69 Coronet, need a video of the Pontiac. Yeah, we started on the video today, mate, when we kind of pulled it in, got it up on the rack, had to walk around underneath. But it's not, I don't have enough footage just yet. So, yeah, watch this space. It'll be coming soon, hopefully by the end of the week. John Oskowski, my XO had a green one. Well, this one's green too, so yeah. The dude is in the house. Get your official Kiwi merch at Kiwi Classics and Customs. Thank you, sir. Yep, don't forget to like the live stream. We've got 40 people in and we've got 18 likes. So there you go. Let's see if we can get a few more likes in there. Assuming you're enjoying the show, Granddad's junk. It's always the same. Life gets in the way. Yeah, life has a habit of doing that. Now, Dr. Art, what have you been up to, bud? How's that funny old Valiant thing you've got there, the Barracuda? I thought you were getting all hot and bothered about my Buick. I thought that my Buick might be going to have a new home, and then you showed up with this old Barracuda. So, yeah, there you go. John Oskowski, the Grand House tour. Well, it wasn't much of a tour, was it, really? Tavo, yeah, definitely a Wi-Fi issue. Started buffering as soon as you moved. Oh, really? Okay. Has it calmed down now? It's back good again. Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm guessing that means we're kind of on the limits, or like right on that fine line between being able to go live and not, which is kind of weird because supposedly, right, we went through this whole exercise of checking the strength and how much broadband we're paying for and that kind of thing, and it should be more than happy. There should be more than enough to service a live stream, more than enough, but reality seems to be a little bit different. Driveway of Misfits. Mrs. Kiwi will be happy you evacuated her kitchen. Yes, she will be. She will be, because she gets stuck in the bedroom and then kind of can't come out and do her thing in the kitchen while I'm there. So so that was a good move. Coming downstairs, and bit of backdrop anyway, Steve Sadusky, great video on the Falcon Kiwi. Nice subtle upgrades. Yeah, I thought it was a good. I think it was a good way to go with that car. We did look, a few people made comments that it should have gone to a 289 or a 260 and stuff like that. And, that we did look at that option. But, the cost was a factor in that as well. And to find a good V8, good transmission, is not that cheap. You've got to change the diff. You've got to change all the front suspension. There's quite a lot of difference. Throttle linkages are completely different because they're on different sides of the engine, your throttle rod. So there's lots of changes you got to make. Radiators, different hoses, different all sorts of stuff. So it does run the price up quite a bit. And I mean, that motor and trans from the 200, I think was like $800. So that's nothing really when you're making a car that doesn't go. That was really minimal. And while there was still a bunch of changes to do, being one motor and trans from the Mustang versus the Falcon, there was more changes than I anticipated. I'll be honest with you, but it wasn't. It was simpler than changing to a V8. We kept the same diff, kept the same rear brakes, stuck with the 4-lug wheels. There's it was definitely simpler than swapping to a V8. And the thing is, when you swap a car like that one to a V8, everyone says, "Oh, was it a V8 originally?" And then you got to say no. They go, "Eh." I don't know why people are like that, but there's a lot that are. So yeah, it was a good, cheap, quick way of getting. I mean, he drove it home. He's been cruising around all afternoon, having a good time with it, and they're back on the road and they're having fun. They're not smoking the tires anywhere, but they're having fun. And that's the name of the game. Granddad's junk. Not much done on the poly this week, but you've been milling timber for the garage footing. You just moved. And the footing and the one my wife bought. Oh, the one my wife bought 10 metre by 6 metre. Got to get it up. Oh, fair enough. That's a nice size shed. That'll be pretty useful. The Lower Man's Vintage Garage. I'm working on a 60 T-Bird for my wife. I want to flush the motor oil system. What's your opinion of Seafoam for that? Yeah, Seafoam make a good engine flush. There's a couple of different brands out there, and I don't think there's a lot between them, to be honest. It's the same concept. Just heavy on detergents. But yeah, I would flush it with Seafoam, put some oil in it. I don't know, I would say do 200 miles and then change the oil again. Because when you use stuff like the Seafoam, you can dislodge stuff or make stuff that that next 200 miles, you're probably going to get stuff coming away from inside the engine that's going to pollute and dirty up that oil pretty quick. And for the cost of a cheap grade oil, which is all I would use for flushing it, just buy the cheapest oil you can and then don't thrash on it. and do a couple of close together oil changes, and that'll just help. That also helps flush the system. 60-odd Coronet. Eggs are expensive, but hitting the like is free. This is true, sir. This is very true. Andy Nickel, maybe TMI, but I've been sober since 1990. There for the tea. 1990. Well, good for you, man. Good for you. I mean, I respect anyone that has an issue and then can get on top of it. So yeah, good for you. I'm just one of the fortunate ones that touch wood, up till now, it doesn't cause me a problem. But there's a lot of people out there that it does. But no, not TMI. I mean, it's we all have our issues, and they're just different. Yeah. And the fact that you've got the fact you've got it under control is what's admirable. Not that you had an issue with alcohol. That doesn't matter. Where are we up to? Good evening, sir. What's your favourite classic car? Oh, that's really tough. I get asked that quite a lot, and it's really hard to narrow. There's so many very cool cars out there that are cool for different reasons. So it's really tough. I would have to say, like, favorite muscle car is probably like a 69 Plymouth GDX. I really like that body shape for a muscle car. For a 50s cruiser, really any of the 57, 8, 9 forward look Mopars, any of those, be it 59 Plymouth wagon, obviously got a soft spot for that. But some of the two-door hardtops they made, in the DeSotos and the Chryslers and some of them were just absolutely in my opinion, for what it's worth, just breathtakingly gorgeous. Yeah. Now, I saw a mention of Lawson there. Let me get back to that in a second. Driveway Misfits. Kiwi, do you have one Wi-Fi router in your house, or are there multiple? It's a 3-level house, so we've got. I'm trying to think what it is. We've got a main ATT gizmo, and then it spreads out through 3 different like band expanders. That's the right. I'm not using the right terms, but I know there's a little white box, about yay big and just thin, on each floor of the house, which are supposed to, help the signal strength on all 3 levels. So yeah, in theory, we've got it under control, but just of late, it's become a problem, and we've had ATT out here, and yeah. They said it'll be perfect now, but clearly it's not. But hey, Snow Crusher. I would use automatic tranny fluid for an engine flush additive. Lots of detergent in it. Yes, that's a good one as well. Good. Thanks for reminding me. We actually we put a few quarts of ATF in Marge driving back from San Diego to try, to help clean her out a bit and clean, like try and degum the rings and stuff like that. And it did seem to work. J. Russell Finch. They didn't give Lawson much of a crack. Pretty disappointing, but I guess that's the business. Results. Yeah, it's. I'm glad someone brought that up, because I've been really, now that McLaren have really, which is originally a Kiwi team. Not anymore, but the founder is a Kiwi, which I've touched on Tuesday nights before. But Liam, was great to see Lawson in there. I personally don't believe it. The results didn't help his cause. Absolutely, they did not. He struggled. But it seems to be pretty widely accepted that the car is really hard to drive. Max Verstappen, who is arguably, or almost unarguably, the best driver on the grid currently. Certainly his results say that. And he's struggling with it. So, for a rookie, his first time in that car, it's not that surprising. I believe the main reason they put Tsunoda in is because he's Japanese, because the next race is the Japanese Grand Prix, and because Honda are heavy, heavy sponsors of Red Bull. So I believe that the Honda management said to them, okay, and it's a theory, granted, but I believe that the powers that be at Honda have gone to Red Bull and said, hey, your boy had a crack the first 2 rounds. He has not done very well. You need to put our boy in. Otherwise, we might have to revise, our engine deal. And then what was Christian Horner going to do then? So that's my conspiracy theory on the reason Lawson is out. At least they didn't throw him away completely. They put him down into the second level team. And it was going to be really, really interesting to see how Yuki does and how Lawson does and having just swapped positions completely. So, if Lawson can outdo Yuki in the number one car, then that's really putting it right there in black and white that this is a car problem, not a driver problem. And we will see, in a week and a bit. Driveway of Misfits at Lower Man's Vintage Garage. BG makes a product specifically for doing BG. BG, who's BG? I've gone blank. Specifically for doing all flushes, cleanings on cars. Okay. Don't know that I'm familiar with that one. Tavo, I'd put a 360 in my ute and not care what others say, but a bit out of my range right now. There you go. Yeah, it's there's so many ways of looking at it. What's right, and it's about what's right for you. And I floated I was kind of looking around for options for that Falcon, what we could do, see if we could find a good motor and trans, and stumbled on this 200 Mustang engine and trans, and it's like it just made sense. It was the right money. It was easy to do, and got them on the road, and gets them out on the road, enjoying it. Yeah. Orlando Pockets. I put seafoam in my oil a week or so before I change it. Yeah, you need to drive it a while. I mean, I think often it will say on the can run for 20 minutes. That is a bare minimum. You can run them for a lot longer than that. I don't know that I'd want to ride them real hard, but you can definitely run them, for a good, as you say, a week or so. Andy Nickel, any idea what to reattach the mirror to a windshield with? Yeah, actually, I just did that on an F100 that we changed the windshield in. You can buy a little wee packet, like I got mine from Napa, but any of the parts houses have them. There is a dedicated glue for that, and it's real simple to use. Just follow the instructions to the letter. You've got to be really clean, like clean the glass, clean it. Then you use their swab activator thing to clean the glass with. Get it all marked out where you want it to go, and then glue it on there. And it says you leave it for 20, I think it's 20 minutes, 15 minutes or something like that. Whatever they say it is, it's not that long. And I found the trick is walk away, glue it on, walk away, leave it, come back tomorrow, and then put your mirror on. And I've never had a problem. In fact, you'll have to break the glass to get it off. It won't come off. But whenever I've tried to do it in the window they suggest, you drive down the road and the damn things fall off. So I think they're just wildly optimistic on how quickly they reach full strength. So that's what I'd use. Just ring them up and say you want the glue, the special glue for gluing the rear vision mirror onto the windshield. And they know what it is. Orlando, they literally make a product just for that. Yep. Driveway of Misfits. Permatex make a kit reattaching mirrors. Yeah, Permatex that's probably what I've been getting. I just don't recall what it was. I just grab it and use it. Stray Bullet. The original 6-cylinder engine purists are a tough crowd. Hey, Wiz is right. Yeah, they're pretty proud of their 6-cylinders. And, a couple of people said should have put a barra in it and sort of stuff like that. But, yeah, he didn't have 20 grand to drop on an end or more. The barra swaps, I mean, I would have been all about that. I'm waiting for someone to turn up at the shop, with a big checkbook and say, hey, let's put a barra in something and put a turbo on it. I'd be all about that. But no one's walked through the door just yet. And the owner of the Red Falcon, that was not his goal. He didn't want a missile. He just wanted his little Red Falcon running again. John Giddings, eggs, $7 New Zealand a dozen at the moment. Actually, mate, that's cheaper than what we're paying. Mind you, my wife loves to get the organic this, that, and the other eggs, which are a bit more expensive. But $7 New Zealand, that's not bad for eggs, honestly. I don't think that's too bad. Steve Sadusky, is it true, Kiwi, that Kev ransacked the garage because you're leaving him alone? No, I'm leaving him alone because he ransacked the garage. Something like that. Depends who you believe, really, doesn't it? Granddad's junk. What's in the VG Valiant? I think he's got a 245. Oh, yeah, next comment down. Both have 245s. Yeah. Josh Homan, nothing is cheap these days. No. And I think it's going to get more expensive here in the States, boys. Your esteemed leader is... I did say I wasn't going to talk politics, didn't I? But he's wreaking a bit of havoc, I got to say. Stray Bullet, there's no shortage of chickens right now. Think about that. Well, yes. Orlando Pocket, except there is they killed a lot with bird flu. Yeah, they wiped out huge numbers, wasn't they? Wasn't it like a few million chickens were slaughtered or killed because of the bird flu? If I've got that right. Orlando Pockets, I'm not entirely convinced that seafoam isn't just kerosene, but I'll use it anyway. Yeah. Beaglebob, 3-story. Your knees must be made of iron, mate. Yeah, it's we're empty nesters now. But when the kids were here, they're up on the top floor. That's up there. I don't, mate. That could have blown away in the tornado the other night. Our top floor, and I wouldn't know. It might be a draft, but I never go up there. It's like that's a whole third of the house that just does not get used at all. So yeah, no, I'm glad it wouldn't work for me because my knees aren't great. And I can get up the one flight from the garage to where we live and sleep and stuff like that. And it's fine. But another, if I was up on the third floor, it'd be like, nah, forget it. Fred Nurk, if internet was run through carbies, you'd be right. I would be. I'd be able to fix it. But yeah, at the moment it's like it either works or it don't. And if it don't, I'm done. Stray Bullet, I can still get fried chicken at the grocery store though. Well, yeah. Yeah, it's amazing. Mind you, they're different. I think they're quite different chickens for the egg layers and the ones that are donating their carcasses to eating, shall we say. Driveway of Misfits, Beaglebob. With the basement, my house has 4 stories. Oh, okay. Well, I can see why you don't have time to come and fix my internet. You're too busy going up and downstairs. That sounds like a big house, mate. Very nice. Good for you. Victor Souza. Hi from Brazil. Hey, man. Good to have you along. That's awesome. How long have you been working with cars? Let's see. I'm coming up on... When did I start working on cars? Really, when I was 14. So I'm coming up on 50 years. I've been working on cars in some capacity. obviously when I was 14, I was just doing what my dad told me, or holding the flashlight, or pumping the brake pedal, or doing something like that. But yeah, probably might have even been 13 actually. But I know I got my first car when I was 14, before I had a license, and me and the old man, fixed it up and got it working and stuff like that. So yeah, it's been a while. It's been a while. It would be hard to count how many cars I've worked on. Keith Hader, man away from the north of Norway, also known as Lapland. Yeah, Lapland, absolutely. Man, oh, awesome. Great to have you guys along. That's a place I would like to go, is Norway. That those parts of Europe, they really appeal. I would love to go there. And I see a little bit of it through the because I'm a real WRC fan, the World Rally Championship. So you see quite a lot of those countries, or at least ones very close to you. Through that, and it just looks amazing. Yeah, and that's on my bucket list. Once I run out of cars to work on, that's me. I'm going to be trekking around Europe, hopefully. But yeah, so we got Aussies here. We obviously got Americans. We got Aussies, Norway, Norwegian, right, and Brazilian. So that's cool. That's very cool. Granddad's junk. Here's some blasphemy. I don't have a car to put the 383 into, so I could put it into the 36 Morris 14 and drag race it. I have a spare 8 3/4. Ay. That's not blasphemy. Why is that blasphemy? That's hot rodding. That's hot rodding. You should do it. I mean, you can always take it out again, although the Morris might never quite be the same again. Once you put a 383 into it, you're going to have to violate it quite a bit to fit that in. But yeah, or you could just make it a street legal. Well, would you be? That's probably not going to get that street legal in New Zealand, are you? Fred Nurk, you're getting your McLarens and Red Bull mixed up. I am. How am I getting them mixed up? Not sure what I got mixed up there, but Matthew, how many quarts of oil and spark plugs did Marge use on that trip to Tennessee? She didn't use any. Well, we melted 3 plugs trying to get out of San Diego, and then once we replaced those and got rid of the anti-fouling little adapters that someone had put in the head, which makes the plugs run really hot, and actually melted them. Once we got rid of them, it didn't use any more spark plugs, but it did use 4 gallons of oil. So that's like 16 quarts. So quite a bit really. But I would say probably 12 of those 16 quarts were on the first half of the trip, and it just progressively got better and better. It really wasn't. I mean, it's still burning a bit of oil. It's not all consumption you'd be happy with, but it wasn't like horrendous. So yeah, it's really not bad. It doesn't. You can see when you stomp on it, you can see a bit of smoke coming out the back. But it's not bad. It's quite drivable now. The oil control rings have really come back. The Lawman's Vintage Grass. Cheers. Thanks for your advice, mate. That's what we're here for. You're most welcome. Handy nickel. Thanks, Chris, but I'll have to wait till it warms up a bit. Oh, fair enough. J. Russell Finch, Kiwi, have you ever heard of Powerline? Powerline products turn the electrical wiring of a home into network cables and transmit signals to every room. I have never heard of that. No, I have not. Beagle Bob, would a 300 fit the same as the 200, or is it too tall? I know it's quite a lot taller, but I think it's more of a truck engine. I think and don't quote me on this because I'm not, the big sixes are not my area of expertise. But I think it's a different block. There's quite a few differences to it, so I don't think it fit the same. The 250 is based off the 200, and that was pretty much a bolt-in, identical bolt-in. But the 300 is like, the small block Ford V8 versus the big block, the FE big block V8. Both V8s, sure, but they don't. The stuff doesn't interchange between them. That's my understanding on a 300. Victor Souza, I don't actually know much about automotive mechanics, but I'm very interested in learning. In your opinion, what should I learn first? Okay, well, I would say, don't deep dive into the internals of engines to start with. I would go for the more simple pieces of cars, like the brake system. You've always got to have brakes. Your brakes have got to be in good shape. So learn about the braking system, the differences between drums and discs, and how you change brake shoes and how you change brake pads and bleeding brakes and stuff like that. Those would be one of the systems. Electrical systems, fairly complicated, but that's a great thing to be smart on. If you're good on electronics, electronics on an old classic car, I'm talking about, when you get into the computer electronics, then now that's a whole another kettle of fish. And that does take some time to learn, but basic 12-volt electrical system, if you can navigate your way around that, you can be very useful. So stick to the simpler stuff. Cooling system, radiators, thermostats, how they work, that kind of thing. Just get to learn how to replace and maintain some of the more simple parts of the car, and then work from there. To sort of tear an engine apart and go, what the heck does this do? Is he while holding a piston and conrod, it's like that's diving in too deep, too quickly. Obviously, someone needs to be able to dive in that deep at some point. But start with the simpler kind of componentries of the car. The suspension, tie rod ends, what makes a steering box work, that kind of stuff. Oops, shot down the order again. Hang on. Where's it gone? Hang on. Wow, I'm getting well behind here. Hang on. Here we go. Tava, I'm waiting for the BA Falcons to drop a bit more in price for the Barras. They're coming down slowly. Oh, okay. So you figure there's still a lot of, like Barra engines out there running around on the Falcons? Or are those engines starting to get a bit thin on the ground? Because they haven't made them for quite a while, have they? Tavo, 550 AU for Googs up my way. Googs. He means eggs, people, if you don't know what Googs are. Stray Buller, I can remember when eggs were $2 a dozen. Yeah, I can remember when gas was $2 a gallon too. Driveway of misfits. Powerline is old tech. The more modern Wi-Fi protocols are drastically faster. Okay. But dude, eggs may be expensive, but peanut butter is cheap. Oh God, I can't do peanut butter. It's terrible stuff. Fred Nick, if you're from Oz or New Zealand, you won't survive in Red Bull. Helmut Marko has his favourites. It's going to be. I can't really comment on that. I'm not aware of that. That could well be a thing. Is Marco a fan of Tsunoda? Is he? I'm not sure why he would be. I don't think Tsunoda's that great a driver. Now, in saying that, don't get me wrong, guys. If you can start, if you can actually get a Formula One car moving and do a lap time that's more or less in the ballpark, you're a fantastic driver. But to get that last 3 or 4% out of a Formula One car, you've got to be like a superhero. So Yuki Tsunoda is, compared to us, he's an absolutely incredibly fantastic driver, but I don't think he's got that last 3 or 4% that you have to be a world champion. Stray Bullet used to throw eggs at people's houses that we didn't like. Can't afford to do that now. That's true. You can't be egging people now. It's too expensive. Fred Nert just asked Mark Webber and Dan Ricciardo. Yeah. I wasn't really watching Formula One much during Mark Webber's time in Formula One. But Daniel Ricciardo, I mean, he just screwed up horribly going to Renault. Like him ditching Red Bull did not do him any favour. I was really amazed when he got even taken back into the second tier. But to walk out away from Red Bull, they're very, very, very proud. And I think that was taken as a real slap in the face. It's like I think they were stunned that anybody would voluntarily leave their team, which is arrogant. I get it, but that was a big mistake. But I'm a fan. I'm a Daniel Ricciardo fan, but that was a mistake. Walking away from Red Bull to go to Renault was a mistake. And I don't. No matter how big a fan you are of his, I think most of his biggest fans would admit that was a mistake. Tavo, my place is just a single level Aussie farm style house. Yeah, well, you can drink lots of that Bundaberg rum, and you don't have a flight of stairs to fall down. So, this is one of the reasons they make Australian houses one level, because they all drink so much Bundaberg rum down there, they fall over all the time. That's how it goes, isn't it, Tavo? Something like that. Snow Crusher. Hey, bud, how you doing? Large eggs, $2.75 a dozen in Canada. Wow, that's cheap. Steve Sadusky, what is a good treatment for the coolant system flush? What's the one that I use? Yeah, comes in a blue bottle, like a bright blue bottle. The stuff that I usually use, and the name escapes me. I can't remember. I can't think of the name of it. I recognise it as soon as I see it, but that doesn't help you, does it? It's a really blue bottle. And that's the same thing with the engine flush. Stick it in your cooling system and drive it around for a week. They say 20 minutes at least, and they really do mean at least. I mean, the blue bottle that I use is kind of out of habit. It seems to it. I had success with it, and quite a lot of shit comes out of the system when you run it for a while. Run it for 20 minutes, I don't think it does much at all, regardless of what the brand is. So run it for a week. I will usually, get it hot and cold, 2-3 times during the day. Just walk outside and fire it up and let it run for 20 minutes, let it cool down and cycle again, and then I'll drive it home or something like that. But I'll try and do it, use it a bit with the coolant flush. That seems to help a lot. Orlando Pockets, what was the first car that you owned? The first car that I owned was a Fiat Bambina, which is a little teeny tiny car. That's funny because I was doing a video with Kevin Tates from Paintucation. I was helping him out on Saturday. And on the video, he was asking me that same question. So if you shoot over to his channel, I think he's publishing that video with me and him this coming Saturday. Go and check that out. But it was a Fiat Bambina, a little 500cc 2-cylinder teeny tiny thing. They did a handful of years back, they did a retro version of it, the Fiat 500. But the original one was a Fiat Bambina, and they're tiny, man, little cars. 50 mile an hour flat out. That's all she wrote. That was with without a headwind. If you had a headwind, you were like 45. But that was my first car. Not exactly a Pontiac Bonneville, was it really? But hey, that was all as a 14-year-old, that was all I could afford, Now, Steve Stardust did it, that one. Over 30 million chickens were destroyed because of the flu epidemic. Wow, 30 million. Good Lord. What do you do with 30 million dead chickens? Yeah, that's got to be a big hole you buried them in. Stray bullet. Maybe we could work a tariff relief deal for some Canadian eggs. Oh, good Lord. I don't think we're going to get anything off the Canadians at the moment, buddy. The Canadians are not, and I'm very generalizing here, guys, so don't take me the wrong way. I mean, we've got Canadians and Americans here on the chat. So, but generally speaking, Canada's not terribly happy with the US, generally speaking. And I get it. I get it. 69 Coronet. I liked my first car. Kept it for 41 years. Wow. Wow, that's awesome. What car is that, buddy? 69 Coronet, is it, by any chance? Tavo. I first picked up a spanner wrench at 12 on a Honda XR75 under Dad's guidance. Oh, awesome. That's awesome. Well done. Beagle Bob, Seafoam SDS says it's a hydrocarbon blend that creates sulfuric dioxide, sounds a lot like diesel, and isopropyl alcohol, 75-25. Huh. Okay. Gosh, the ISO, isopropyl alcohol would burn off fast, I would think. That evaporates like no tomorrow. Sulfur oxide autocorrect. There you go. Vilefly still has his chickens. Vilefly, welcome along, mate. We've missed your commentary, but here you are. J. Russell Finch, my understanding is that Powerline uses the electric cabling as the data wire, so you can have a network cable or Wi-Fi base any outlet on the line. Okay, you're talking French to me. That means absolutely nothing. Ken, I hope I'm saying this right. Hayeda, hope I'm pronouncing that right, because presumably that's a Norwegian pronunciation. Rally Sweden, the snow rally. Rally Finland, lightning speed through the pine forest. Man, that is one of my, like I've got a couple of I've got a fairly long bucket list, and then I've got like a top 5. And Rally Finland is deep into the top 5. I've watched that event for as long as I can. Wow, since my early 20s, and yeah, it's that's an event. That's one of the things I really, really want to do before I die. Yeah, it's an awesome event, and so famous. They talk about Monte Carlo being like the big rally of the WRC calendar. I don't buy that at all. I think it's Thousand Lakes Rally Finland, Rally of the Thousand Lakes, and it's like that is the number 1 rally in the world. Close second, followed by Rally of New Zealand, but we don't see that very often anymore. But yeah, they say New Zealand is actually has similar roads to Rally Finland, but not so much of the jumps, not quite so much, but those wide, fast flowing, well cambered roads. Wonderful. I've never heard a driver come to New Zealand and have a bad word to say about the rally stages, the rally roads in New Zealand. Granddad's junk. I'm a bit of a purist. It would go against the grain. You're right. It wouldn't get street legal, but it would fly. This is it. Yeah, this is it. I can't imagine getting an engineer to sign off on a 383 powered Morris anything. Tavo, nearly as much oil as my neon burns. Oh, good grief. Sulfur dioxide used to be bleach for paper books. Oh, good Lord. Didn't know that. J. Russell Finch. True, but there are a lot of limitations. Oh, we're back on the Ethernet. You two are going to have to talk between yourselves because you've kind of lost me there. Volfly, the power line network adapters went out of business. Oh, well. Stray Bullet, 4 gallons of oil and 3,000 miles is a lot, Kiwi. Oh, it is. It is a lot. I would never change my oil with that. No, we effectively had 4 oil changes in that, and it was 2,000 miles, not 3,000. So just to make it even worse. But honestly, most of that went on the first quarter of the trip, then a bit less and a bit less and a bit less. So it became acceptable just rather than. I mean, people must have been looking at us, driving past us. We were just chugging down the road at 60 mile an hour. We put a 60 mile an hour cap on it for the trip because we knew the engine was tired and we didn't want to stress it. And we just chugged on down the slow lane, 60 mile an hour, getting passed by thousands of cars, probably, certainly hundreds. And I'll bet some of them thought, "Good grief, look at the state of that thing." But we made it. See, Sadusky, the Ford 300 is a pickup truck engine, so maybe taller. I believe it is quite a bit taller. Even the 250 is quite a bit taller, and that's why they never put the 250 in the Falcon. Sorry, the Mustang. They never put it in the Mustang because the Mustang's about that much shorter. Like the top of the hood is quite a bit shorter than a Falcon hood. The Falcon, and that giveaway for that is the shock towers. On the Falcon are kind of quite below the top of the inner fender, and on the Mustang they're right level with the top of the inner fender, and the Falcons are about at least 3.5 inches below the top of the fender. The Falcon is just taller, so they could have got a 250 they did in the later Falcons, but like that 63 would have taken a 250, but they're just a bit harder to find, Jeff R, my HQ 253 is factory AC. Nice. Would the original WW Strongberg carb have had a mechanism to add some RPM when it was turned on? Ooh, that I can't give you a definitive answer on. I would factory AC. It quite possibly did and probably should have had, because it definitely it does slow the idle down when you hit the AC. 253, it would have dropped it a little bit, but probably not that much. A lot of those did have a little electric solenoid that as you turn the AC on, as the compressor kicked in, that same power supply went to this little solenoid. It would just pop a little popper out and it would just lift the idle, and it was adjustable. It would just lift the idle a little bit. So if the HQ had that system, had needed a way to boost up the RPM, then that's what it would have done. It would have had something like that. But I can't say for sure that yes, that's what they did, because I don't know firsthand. When the HQs were a new vehicle, not many cars had AC. Aussie, they had, New Zealand AC was like a super, super luxury in New Zealand because it just wasn't all that hot. But Aussie, they were a lot bigger on AC because of the heat. Just that much hotter in Australia. Where's it gone? Oh, I shut the page again. I click it like 3. If I click it, scroll down like 3 taps, then it shoots to the very bottom. Now I've got to find my way back up to where I was up to. Good Lord. Yeah. Come on, up you go, up you go. Well, here we go. Where are we up to? Volfly, learned electrical for automotive. You will always have a job. I lived it, still do. Yeah, good advice. Yeah, if you can figure out, like if you're skilled at that 12-volt electrical system, just your basic stuff even, because a lot of the auto electrical techs now are all about their computers, and they don't actually, you throw an old car at them, they're like, what? That they're not quite so strong on it. Greg Bartel, 67 Cougar, 55,000 miles to be restored, Florida. Okay. And you're getting it restored, or what's the comment about? But I think I'm missing something there. Tavo, no, they just set the base idle higher on the AC cars. Oh, there you go. There's your answer. Tavo's the man. Driveway of misfits. Learn to read a wiring schematic, then study them to learn how car electrical systems work. Way easier to fix things if you understand how they work. Absolutely, yeah. Stray bullet. Usually it was just a solenoid to hold the throttle slightly open at idle. Yeah, that's what I was talking about. It was fairly, very simplistic, but it worked. It was effective. Keith Koski, Red Bull is in the last year with Honda. Yeah. Then Ford goes to Red Bull and Honda goes to Lance Stroll, Aston Martin. Great show, Keith. Well, thanks, man. Yeah, no, there's big changes for 26, isn't there? But yeah, I don't think they wanted to upset Honda, this early in the okay, it's the last season with Honda, but I still don't think they wanted to upset Honda this early in the season. Tavo, plenty of barrows out there on the road starting to show up in wreckers, but they still want big dollars from them. What's big dollars, Tavo? How much is big dollars? Ford 240 and 306, probably longer and heavier than the 170, 200, 250. Yeah, I would say that would be right. Josh Homan, I remember when gas was $1 a gallon. Yeah, no, I've not been in the States long enough to have seen it for that. I did see it dip. We were living in Texas at the time, and it went to like $1.98 briefly, and then shot back up again. That was the cheapest I ever saw, which I guess is $1 something a gallon, but not $1 even, if that's what you mean. John Giddings, Barra engine, 2004 in New Zealand on Trade Me, going for 1,050 New Zealand dollars in the rec section. See, I don't think that's bad. $1,050 New Zealand. I don't think that's bad. Now, does that come with a computer? Is that complete? Or is that just the engine, or is that engine and trans? Max Level, good evening, Kiwi. Your drink is the same color as mystery oil. That 383 is more like a blast for me than blasphemy. Yeah, there you go. This is quite dark. It's an old fashioned with a couple of cherries in it, and the cherries make it go quite a dark reddish tinge. So that's the reason. Keith Koski, buy merch. T-shirts are very nice. I own two. Oh, yeah, I remember sending those to you, Keith. Yeah, you happy with them? Hopefully they're lasting well. My ones seem to be lasting nicely. I did buy some good quality ones. So I didn't want them to be looking like rags after 3 washes. So yeah, that's good to know they're hanging in. Stray bullet, I can remember gas at less than $1 per gallon. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Wow. Now, when was that? What year was that? That must be a while ago. Vilefly, 76 cents per gallon in 1976 is how I remember it. Wow. So what's that? Almost 50 years ago. Jeez. Doesn't seem like, to me anyway, 1976 does not seem like 50 years ago. Wow. Yeah, it doesn't seem that long. Victor Souza, thank you for the advice, sir. Hey, you're most welcome, man. You're most welcome. Driveway of misfits. Put the 383 in your sawmill. You cut up an entire log in 15 seconds. Tavo Bundy, throw up. Oh, okay. Not a Bundy fan, huh? I used to drink quite a bit of Bundy. It was decades ago, but yeah, I did quite like Bundy. And then what was the other one? I like Cougar Bourbon. Do you remember Cougar? Is that still a thing? Can you still buy that? Cougar Bourbon. Cougar bourbon. I thought that was quite good bourbon. It was cheap, but it wasn't bad. 69 Coronet, 86 cents a gallon, and 84, I think. Wow. The blades will be glowing red, Granddad's junk. Yeah, I'll bet it would. What's on it to be? Hey, Kiwi, how about CLR for the coolant system cleanse? Good question. Good question. The only thing that comes to mind that made me think of it, I'm not sure whether it's a thing or not, but how would that be on like water pump bearings? In theory, that shouldn't get to the water pump bearing, should it? Should the seal, long as it didn't hurt the rubber seals in the engine, like the water pump seal, the hoses and stuff like that. And I don't know whether CLR wouldn't hurt them or not. I really don't know. Not sure. Yeah, but I mean, on paper, that sounds, it makes sense. Yeah, it makes sense. CLR's quite potent stuff. It works. That cleans a lot of stuff up. So yeah, that could be something worth a try. Charles Doughton, are you thinking of Blue Devil coolant flush? Yes, I am. That's what I'm thinking of. Yep. Thank you, sir. That had just gone out of my brain. Like so many things these days. But yeah, that's the one. I've had good results with that. Michael Welch, 68.69. 25.19 regular normal price, as low as 19.9 during gas wars. 19.9 cents a gallon. 68. Wow. That's unreal. Wow. 69 Coronet. This is how far behind I am. Wow, I'm lagging behind on the questions, trying to keep up with you guys. Yeah, we got a few in the room. 65 in the room. 62 likes. Well done, guys. Almost as many likes as there are people here, which is good. Yes. Well, mate, if I had a 69 Coronet 500, I'd like to think I would have hung on to that too. So good for you. Good for you. Pop's Mustang Shop. First car 70 Mustang Fastback Calypso coral color. Oh, nice. Yeah, nothing. Yeah, that's the difference between like growing up in America and growing up in New Zealand. Not many people had 70 Mustangs. I venture to say nobody had a 70 Mustang for their first car in New Zealand. That just wasn't an option. It would have been, they were all little four bangers, Because I'm trying to think about, you're talking about your gas prices and 19.9. I think, because we always in New Zealand, we always bought fuel by the litre. Not always, but when I was buying fuel, it was always measured out by the litre. And I can remember it being, I think I'm going to say like 40 odd cents a litre, and thinking that was really expensive. So 40 cents a litre, that's like $1.50 a gallon. But that would have been in 1970, about 1970. Well, a little bit, maybe 1968, something like that. Would have been around there. Stray Bullet, I bet you wish that you kept the XR75 Tavo. Yeah, I wish I kept mine. Yeah, I bet you do. Tavo, rally scares me. I drive fast on the blacktop, nervously on the dirt stuff. But on two wheels, I go as fast on the dirt, scared of going fast on the blacktop. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. No, rally. I mean, yeah, cars on the dirt. That's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. A gas price war sounds good to me right now. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I'd go along with that. Well, I think it's been coming down a little bit. It seems to have come down around me. We've got an expensive gas station just up on the corner, and I think they're down to like $3.20 a gallon, that's pretty cheap for them for regular. Victor Souza, it's really cool how easy it is for you to talk about cars and all the weird names of engines and pieces. Mate, that's kind of goes with the territory. When you've been messing with cars for 50 years, you kind of can't help but get to your vocabulary, your automotive vocabulary gets fairly good after 50 years. I still confuse the shit out of Steve though. Steve at work, you guys, Steve. With some of the terms that I use, he's just sometimes some of the things I say, he just looks at me like with like this dumb look on it, going, "What the heck are you talking about?" But yeah, we have some funny names for things at times. Tavo, what's Tavo saying? Oh, shut up the page again. Here we go, Tavo. Here we go. Stray bullet. Yes, but not as much as I'd wished. Kept the 78 CR250 last bike I raced. Okay. Tavo. VB Commodore, I believe, was the first Holden to have the bump up solenoid. Oh, okay. VB. Huh. There you go. Beagle Bob, 2020, it was $1.89 when I bought my truck. That sure was nice. 2020, wow, was it that cheap that recently? Okay. Yeah, when was it? It would have been 2000 and the cheapest I saw it here in the States was down in Texas, and that would have been about 2010 or 11, 2010 maybe, was the cheapest I saw it here. John Giddings, that ad, transmission sold ECU 225. Okay. Eagle Bob, Cougar Bourbon. I would have guessed wine or vodka for Cougars. Well, you're kind of right. Yeah, I would say you're absolutely right there. But yeah, that was a brand name in Aussie, Cougar Bourbon. I mean, it had a black cougar, like a black feline cougar, just to be accurate. A black feline cougar on the bottle. Now, Andy Nicol, I learned a lot about engines rebuilding the lawnmower after hitting a tree stump. Oh dear. Driver of Misfits, wear my KCNC t-shirt regularly, holding up just fine. Oh, cool. That's good. That's good. Awesome. Jeff R. Cougar Bourbon used some very attractive advertising techniques. Oh, did they? Yeah, because I didn't live in Aussie, so we didn't see the TV ads. But yeah, I can knowing the Aussies, yeah, they would have been some eye candy along with in the advertising, I'm sure. Steve Osgood, did someone say bourbon? That's a word that does get thrown around here quite a bit, to be fair. So, being a bit of a bourbon fan myself. Vilefly got attacked by another 87 Cadillac Alante on Monday. So now we have two of them stuck here that won't leave. Oh, okay. Told them both I don't restore cars. Rust bucket imitation Italian luxury crap cars. Okay, well, don't hold back, Vilefly. Explain it, tell it like it really is. Don't hold back. Cadillac Alante. They were the little sports car, weren't they? Little drop top or soft top convertible, weren't they? Not a bad looking car, but yeah, I've not heard much in the way of good reports about them. Beagle Bob, when quarters was silver, you could get a gallon of gas for one. Now those old quarters are worth about $5. Yeah, about the same as a gallon of gas now. Well, not quite, but yeah. Depends what part of the country you're in. Sam Haggins, my senior year, 65, 66, had a 56 Chevy Bel Air. Gas was 29.9 cents for regular and 32.9 for ethyl. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, well, you got a couple of years on me, but if you were in your senior year then, because when I was in 65, I was 4 years old, mate. So, yeah, I don't think I'd even started school. So, oh, Mrs. Kiwi's arriving home. Hello. Say hello to your fans.
Hello, fans. Cheeky.
There you go. She's walking past. See ya.
Bye-bye.
Volfly, their owners are so very disconnected from reality. I'm very proud of them, no doubt. Driveway of Misfits, they don't have North Stars in them, do they? I think they did. Oh, no, Volfly said no, 4100s. Okay. With the tin-plated aluminum distributor gears. Oh, good grief, really? Aluminum, wow. Driveway of Misfits, Volfly, would you rather work on an Alante or a Chrysler TC by Maserati? I don't even know what that is. Talking foreign. Both are just as bad as one another. That sounds quite believable, yes. If it's a Chrysler with something to do with Maserati, that doesn't sound like a good mix at all, not for the mechanics anyway. Gary Royce, I was in Texas in 72 and gas was 14 cents a gallon. 17 cents for premium. Wow. So, Gary, tell me, did people complain about the price of gas in 72? Like how relative that is that to today's prices? There's obviously there's a huge over 50 years difference. But yeah, it does. That's one of the things that crosses my mind. Like, have we all just always complained about how expensive gas is, no matter how cheap it was? Because it was relative to what we made. I mean, how much did you make a week in 72? Like, I don't know. But I'm sure it wasn't a lot by today's standards. Right. Getting hate flashbacks on the TC. Oh, no. Driveway of Misfits wasn't the Buick Riata, another US-Italy mashup. Who thought anything? Wow. I mean, Italians do make some famous cars, but they make some horrible stuff too. Like, a US-Italy mix of cars just doesn't. I mean, two just totally different realms of automotive manufacturing, like the way Americans made cars, which was correct for the American market, was not how they made cars in Italy. And, that's really like chalk and cheese. Where's it gone? Too far up again. Hang on. Gary Royce, it was about 22 cents per gallon in the Detroit area at that time. Wow. Volvo used to have an 87 Riviera CRT display and radio providing audio for the shop. That's cool. Nope. Driveway of Misfits, my bad. Riata wasn't a mashup. Okay. The fancy CRT in-dash was super ultra high tech at the time, touchscreen. Now everything is touch. Yeah. I quite like touchscreen until I touch the screen by accident and it does something that I had absolutely no intention of it doing. And then I've got to try and undo it. That I hate. I'll tell you that. Steve Sadusky, I love the smell of leaded gasoline back in the day. It was cheap to buy too. So did it smell? I guess it smelled more like race gas, did it? Because race gas has usually got lead in it. And race gas has a cool smell. Max level. Put a tiger in your tank, 23 cents a gallon, and a free tiger tail with fill up in the 60s. Wow, that's cool. A free tiger tail. Tavo, yes, a cougar advertising the cougar bourbon. Yeah, it sounds about right. Oh, I should see if they've got those ads on YouTube. Probably someone's got them posted up on YouTube. Steve Osgood, Wild Turkey 101, fabulous bourbon, and it can clean fuel injectors as well. Wow. That's expensive cleaning fluid. Chris Triumph, which way do you screw light bulbs in on the island of Kneeland? Kneeland, I haven't heard it called that before. They're made the same way everywhere, like threads, a right-hand thread. But in New Zealand, well, I don't know what they do now, but they like screw-in light bulbs was new for me when we came to the States. You didn't have screw-in light bulbs in New Zealand. It was all that bayonet type fitting, the push in, rotate a tiny bit and let them go again. So screw-in light bulbs was new to me when I got to the States. And so to be fair, they don't screw the light bulbs in Kneeland. John Giddens, cheapest fuel in New Zealand, I remember when I worked for Shell in 99, was $1.25 for 91 and 75 for diesel. 75 cents. Yeah. Yeah, diesel's always been cheaper in New Zealand. Like we pay road taxes for the, you have to buy your miles for diesel. But yeah, 99 is not that long ago. I mean, you must be a young buck if that's the cheapest fuel that you can remember. Where were you in 1975? Just a glint in your daddy's eye, were you? Jeff, hang on, did I miss a question? Jeff, I'm not aware of any stray wiring in the vicinity of the carb. I was wondering if it was maybe a vacuum pot on the carb. It's now a QFT. Quick Fuel Technologies 450, so a slight increase in idle RPM may be my summertime option. No, there's probably not stray wiring in the vicinity of the car. You might have to run some wiring to it. Yeah, they didn't usually vacuum pots. Yeah, probably not a vacuum pot. Stray bullet. Hi, Mrs. Kiwi. There you go. Tavo, when I started driving, paid 22 cents a litre for super in the Hillman Hunter. They were a pretty good car, those Hillman Hunters, weren't they? They were a pretty good car. Quick fly. Search Mrs. Kiwi for cookies. Yeah, she might. She didn't let on, but she might have brought some cookies in. You never know. You never know. What's on it to be? I'd take the TC. 3-litre V6 was pretty reliable. And then there was two versions of the 2.2 Chrysler Turbo and a single cam and double overhead cam version. Both relatively easy to work on. Mate, don't know anything about those engines. Stray bullet. Italian cars are good when they run. That's the key point. The electrics were always woeful on Italian cars, like bad electric. Robert Beckler, lowest I remember is 25 cents. My dad filled every empty container with gas. Michael Welch, when quarters were silver, 25 cents got a gallon of gas. I live on the West Coast and gas is $4 to $5 per gallon now. And yes, we complain then at 25, just as we do today at $4 to $5. Yeah, I suspected that. But yeah, I mean, that's just life, isn't it? Things move on, things keep going up, wages keep going up, everything goes up. Braden LaForce, Kiwi, could you talk about gas? My Cutlass 350 has incredibly strong fumes that drive everybody crazy. Is that ethanol gas? The car has a new carb and runs perfect. Cutlass 350. What sort of carb has it got? I have found that Edelbrock carbs are very gassy. You get a lot of gas smell from Edelbrocks. The QFT, the Quick Fuel Technologies, don't have anywhere near the level of gas smell that Edelbrock does. What else could it be? Ethanol does tend to permeate through the rubber lines, and you can get some of the fuel line is kind of got like a PPTF liner in it, or a Teflon liner in it, which doesn't, you don't get that soak through that you get that the ethanol tends to cause. So you could be getting, and particularly if you've run rubber lines front to back, if you've just got 6 inches of rubber at the beginning, at the tank end, and 6 inches from the chassis to your pump, you don't generally get too much smell from that. But if you've got, if someone's replaced the hard lines with rubber lines the whole way, you could be getting some, some fumes or odors coming through the rubber line. What else would be doing it? What year is the Cutlass? Is a good question. Is it a smog era Cutlass, or is it pre that? Because one of the things they did in the smog era is all these little carbon canisters, or charcoal canisters that they had them there to soak up the fumes and stop the fumes. All as part of the emission restrictions. So there's a few things could be going on for you, but a little more info might help there, to be honest. As far as what year it is, what you're doing for fuel lines, that kind of thing. Tavo, down under light bulbs are 99% bayonet. Yeah, that's what I thought. Victor Souza, have a good night. God bless you. Well, thank you, sir. Hope you enjoyed yourself. We enjoyed having you along. Driveway of misfits. Here, the only bulbs that aren't screwing are the old school fluorescent tube type bulbs that are going out of style. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, no, the household bulbs and like down under were just like your little stop tail light bulbs in your older car. That's what we call a bayonet fitting. Tavo, Jeff R. It wouldn't be hard to rig up a solenoid wired off the compressor wire. Yeah, just a small solenoid. Probably the hardest bit would just be finding one that's suitable with a short throw. Nothing. You want something fairly compact, and one that'll be okay. Like extended out. Like shot out, and kept live for. Who knows how long you might run with AC running. Oh, and the compressor should cycle on and off a little bit, so you give it a rest. John Giddens, I was born in 74, first car, 1976, normally aspirated 73 Lancer. There you go. Craig Nearing, hey man, how you doing? Good to have you here. Matt Boonen, back before I drove, I could buy a jerry can of gas, a loaf of bread, and a pick and mix lolly bag for $5 New Zealand. We now pay more than double that for 2 litres, or roughly half a gallon. Yeah. Yeah, fuel has got expensive in New Zealand. Steve Sadusky, I remember riding our mini bikes all day long for $1. Yeah. Yeah. And it wasn't, $1. Yeah, $1 was cheap back then. '69 Coronet. Oh, I didn't buy a lot of gas in the old days. I was busy walking uphill to school both ways. There you go. That's funny. Stray Bullet, that Oldsmobile isn't running perfect if the exhaust burns your eyes. Yeah. Don't think he said, Stray Bullet, I don't think he said it burns his eyes, did he? I don't think Braden said that. Yeah, it has incredibly, he said string fumes, but I'm sure he means strong fumes that drive everybody crazy. Yeah, no, I had a few guys complain to me that their wives won't get in the car because of the smell. They get out of their hot rod and they smell like gasoline, which the ladies don't like. We don't care, but the ladies don't like it. And that is one of the things about the modern fuel injecting era of cars and all the clean that they have, all the clean features, is that they hardly smell like a car anymore. But yeah, carburetors are relatively crude way of dispensing fuel into an engine. Relatively crude, really, if we're honest. Volflay, strong fumes means you are running rich. It certainly can do, yeah. It depends where the fumes are coming from. If it's coming out of the tailpipes, then absolutely, yeah. But there can be a few things that contribute to it. The Edelbrocks seem to be always quite a wet carburetor. They always look like they've been wet. There's usually dust stuck on the carburetors on them and dirt where the fuel's been weeping here and there. They're just to me a wet carburetor, or they have a fuel leak. Yep. Andy Nickel, 1975, a 6-cylinder would throw in a quarter and could drive all night, 25 cents a gallon. Yeah. Yep. I remember coming for a trip to the States. When would that have been? In about 1970, roughly. And some friends of ours loaned us an old Impala. Not that old, like a late. It wasn't that old actually. And I'm looking back, it was like a 67 or 8, something like that Impala. And we'd all just chuck in a couple of bucks and like into the ashtray, and that was like the gas fund. And whenever we needed to stop, we'd just pull some money out of the ashtray and fill it up. And it really seemed like nothing. But we were coming from New Zealand where it was a lot more per gallon. So we were, it was like, oh, we'll fill up the Impala, 20-something gallons. Pfft, nothing to it, like that's not expensive. But that was kind of our view of it in that moment, because gas has traditionally been about 4 times more expensive in New Zealand than it is in the States. So... Yep, here we go. Dave, the bowling alley parking lot was always a good place to siphon gas when I was broke. Oh, dear. Dave, we've always complained about the price of gas. We about lost our minds when it went to $1 a gallon. I remember hitting not long after I got here in 2008. We were driving a diesel Dodge around, and I remember being, like it was a bit tough when diesel was hitting $5 a gallon. When you were towing a fifth wheel and it was getting 8 to the gallon, it started to get a bit expensive. Matt Boonen, I'm listening while I work on my XF panel van with a 460 big block Ford in it, so saving money for gas now. An XF panel van with a 460 in it. That's very cool. That's very cool. It's that's a big old motor for an XF Falcon. Paul Funk, ethanol fuel absorbs water. Older fuel systems will degrade if blended fuel is used. Yeah. Ethanol does not like rubber. So yeah, that's why I kind of asked what fuel lines he was running, and because it's very, you can get and ethanol free. But it's not that common, is it? The vast majority of our gas has got ethanol in it. Volfly, the worst things they did for emissions was retard the base timing. Yeah. Yep. What's on to be? Okay, I have to ask about the water drains in New Zealand. Do they turn counterclockwise as they are draining? I don't. This is going to sound weird. I don't actually know. I've never really paid attention to it. I know it's a standing joke that turns the other way, and I'm not sure whether that's a thing or not. Honestly, I'm not. I mean, it's not something that I've ever really dedicated. I mean, I've heard the comment many times, but I've never actually stopped when I've been back in New Zealand and watched to see which way it spins. So I don't know. Honest answer, I don't know. But I mean, Tavo will tell you. There's a few other Aussie Kiwis on here. Which way does it go down the drain? Seeing as I'm not there to actually run into the kitchen and turn the faucet on or the tap on and have a look. Volfly. Lead deposits in the gas tank will get redissolved into the ethanol blend gas and clog some filters and carbs. Huh. Didn't know that. Is there any gas tanks left with lead deposits in them? Michael Welch, 71, 72, they went to a sealed gas cap, or it let air in but not out. With that, a charcoal filter and a line back to the carburetor. Missing any of that and the gas smells can happen. Yeah, well, that's part of the reason I was asking what era that 350 olds was. Could be a 63, could be a 51, could be an 85. There's a few variants out there. Tavo, lucky down here, ethanol is still not a big thing in fuel. Just some independent stations offer a 10% mix at about 3 cents a litre, cheaper than the regular unleaded. Huh. Yeah, you don't get a lot of options here. There's a handful of stations that have ethanol free, and you pay more for it. Most gas stations is 10% ethanol, but some stations sell ethanol free. Stray Bullet, I would like to have a little 500cc car to drive in New Zealand. Yeah, well, I don't know that you'd want a Fiat Bambina, mate. I mean, gosh. They were just, I mean, when I was 14, I thought it was pretty cool, because it started and it moved and you could drive it. So that was all it needed to have to be cool. And it was mine. So yeah, it was cool, but goodness me, it was slow. And you put 4 people in it, which it would fit 4 people at a squeeze, but 4 people could get in it, and that slowed it right down. Craig Nearing, back in the day, I worked on the then not so old VW Type 3 fuel injected engines, and even went so far as to build a Baja Bug with a fuel injection engine. That took a bit of work. Yeah, I bet it did. That would be an interesting experience. Steve Sadusky, I remember during the gas crisis, President Jimmy Carter era, the Volkswagen Beetles were popular here because of their fuel mileage. Yeah. Yep, that's they were good on gas, those things, but so simple and light. Yeah, they couldn't help but be good on gas. Driveway of Misfit. It's called the Coriolis SP spelling effect. Water can go down the drain backwards, but the effect is so slight that it's easily overcome by basic water flow. Okay. Not really following that, but maybe that's my old fashioned. Granddad's joke, it flows uphill since we're at the bottom, otherwise it would run off the planet. Okay. Oh, dear. John Giddens, clockwise water flow at my place in New Zealand. There you go. Straight from the horse's mouth. Water goes clockwise in New Zealand. Josh Oman, a 500cc car would go nowhere in New Zealand. It would not be able to climb all those hills. You're absolutely right. It didn't take much of a hill to knock the Bambina down to second gear. It really didn't. And I'm just talking about a hill in and around Auckland City, not out through some of the ranges in New Zealand. Tavo, did you guys get the Nicky 650 across the ditch in New Zealand? Polish-built Fiat, Nicky 650. I don't think we did. I don't recall. Put it this way, I don't remember that one. I shouldn't say we didn't get it, but I don't recall it. What's on it to be copy on the H2O? There you go. Volfly, a few 66 Thunderbirds I worked on still had lead deposits in the tank. Changed fuel filters 5 times in a row before each owner would listen to me about replacing the tank. 18 gallons of solvent. No. Huh. Wow. I never really thought about the lead from the fuel depositing in the tank. I didn't realize that was a thing. I did not realize that was a thing. Huh. Craig Nearing, my bar hubba got 32 miles per gallon. It had a huge L7815 snow tyres on the rear. Huh. And it got 32 to the gallon. That's a pretty good effort. Stray bullet, poor little Bambino. Yeah. Yeah. And of course, I would wring its neck, it's so silly now, like looking back at it, it's like, it should have, like wringing its neck, like it really didn't achieve a thing. Because just cruising in the Bambina and flat out in the Bambina were pretty much the same thing. You couldn't really coax any more out of it just by holding it in a gear longer. It just, nothing really worked, but I tried. Michael Welch, what's in an old-fashioned? I'm partial to Manhattans. Well, an old-fashioned is, there's a couple of different variants on it, but it's typically bourbon and on big ice, large ice. And then you have a little bit of, there's usually an old-fashioned mix that goes in it. And there's a few different brands of that, but it's a little slightly spicy mix that goes with it. And it's usually 2 parts bourbon, 1 part of the old-fashioned mix. And a splash of bitters, and usually either some cherries, cherry and or a piece of orange rind or orange skin is usually dropped in there just to give it a little citrus taste. I fudge that. We don't always have orange to peel in the house, but I'll put a little bit of orange flavored liqueur in it, or liqueur in it. Just a little splash of that, and that has a similar effect to putting the peel of an orange, just a length of orange peel, that has a similar effect. So yeah, there's a few variants on the recipes, but yeah, pretty nice, very, very, very drinkable. Driveway of Misfits. Those original Fiat 500s had only 2-cylinder engines, something like 15 horsepower. Yep, little twin cylinder. They had the starter motor was just a lever on the floor that you would just like grab and pull up. They had 2 little levers. One was the choke and one was the starter motor. They looked the same, and they're about the size of your pointer finger. And you just pull her up, put the choke on, pull her up to engage the starter motor. It was just no electric solenoid, nothing exotic like that. It just pushed a lever and shoved it in and connected shoved the pinion in and away it cranked. So yeah, very, very basic. But But yeah, I mean, worth a fortune now. Those original Bambinas are worth really good money. Like I paid a few $100s for mine, and we painted it and messed around with it and made it a bit nicer and stuff like that. But yeah, they're worth like 30 grand, no problem now. John Giddens, Nicky 650 equals Fiat 126. Okay. Because wasn't the Lada was based on the Fiat 126, wasn't it? What were they not? There was a Lada Niva and there was a Lada, their four-door sedan, which was a Fiat-based car. I'm pretty sure it was the 126. They rallied those a little bit. Volfly, very red on the inside of those gas tanks. Really? Huh. So the lead was red. Dave, wifey just came home. Got to go. Cheers. Oh, cheers, mate. Thanks for joining in. Yeah, go and look after the wife, mate. I'm sure she'll provide a lot more fun and entertainment than we will. At least she hopes so, anyway. John Giddens, Hill starts on Wellesley Street, Auckland, in the band. Oh, yeah, that was a challenge. Yeah, lots of revs and not too much clutch too fast. I remember Wellesley Street. Yeah, that was an old stomping ground. John Giddens, were you ever a Queen Street cruiser? I know I was. Done many laps of Queen Street in Auckland. Stray Bullet. I wonder how the Bambina would do with a Kawasaki H2 swap. It would do very well. There was a guy who used to hill climb one, and hill climbs was kind of anything goes. But dirt, typically you do get a few tarmac hill climbs, but mostly they were dirt. And he had a what was it? I think it was a Kawasaki. This is going back a while. But it was a Kawasaki 1300cc Kawasaki of some description. Now, this is well before the Hayabusa days and all that sort of thing. So this would have been in the 70s. And it was the weirdest looking thing because you'd hear this motorbike coming because it sounded exactly like a motorbike. When the car was like down the hill and out of sight, but you could hear it. It sounded like a 1300cc Kawasaki motorbike screaming up the hill. Like screaming. And then this little Fiat Bambina would appear around the corner like at 90 degrees to the road, like just on full opposite lock. It's just like backing around the corner, pulling, sounded like close to 10,000 RPMs. I don't know what those 1300 quackers used to rev to, but whatever it was, he was close to the rev limiter always. And it was wild. It was fast. And it would do well on the hill climbs. He would be in the top 5 usually on the event. The thing was mind-bogglingly fast, but very, very tail happy because all the weight was in the rear and the wheelbase was like, 2.5 foot long. The wheelbase, they're so short, they're tiny. So that was very, very tail happy, but the guy was not scared of it whatsoever. Steve Sadusky, what's on my shirt? Mate, I'm doing the American thing. I'm being all patriotic tonight. That is a American flag made with wrenches, channel locks, ratchets. Can't remember what's on the blue thing here. Oil pumps or something here. And so that's the American flag using all automotive hardware and tools. So, yeah, a little bit different. Wifey got me that. She has a habit of turning up with some cool automotive T-shirts for me. Yeah. Stray Bullet. Kiwi wishes he never sold the Bambina. Mate, gosh, 70% of the cars I've owned over the years I wish I'd never sold. But, you do. Snow Crusher, Fiat 124 equals Lada Sedan. I thought the Lada Sedan had a name, though. Maybe it didn't. Maybe I'm just making that up. But I know they had like what we'd call an SUV or a four-wheel drive that was a Lada Niva. like NIVA, and I thought the sedans had a name as well, but it completely escapes me. It's too long ago. Fly, run, Dave, run. Dave's not here. Josh Heyman, I would imagine that you would want to wring someone's neck after driving one of those toys up and down those hills. Yeah, in stock form, yeah. Yep, absolutely. John Giddens, 4 Fiat 500. Fiat 500 trade me $20,000 average. Yeah. Honestly, if I've got my pricing right, and I think I do, but I mean, it's not something I'd study on Fiat Bambinas, but I've seen them in the US for 30 grand US. So 20,000 average in New Zealand with New Zealand dollars, that's actually not bad. I mean, it still sounds like a ridiculous amount of money for a Fiat Bambina, because if you've ever driven one, you've driven it enough. You don't need to drive it again, ever. There's just why you would want to pay $20,000 for a car that is just so unpleasant to drive. But they look cool, and they're kitschy, they're trendy. They're used a lot for promotional vehicles and that kind of thing now. Yeah, trendy, very trendy. Driveway of Misfits, weren't Lada sold up in Canada for a bit? Yeah, sounds like they were, mate. Fred Nuke, did you ever see the 16 valve? Not in a Lada? No, never saw a 16 valve Lada. Snow Crusher driveway, yes, sedans and Niva SUVs, yeah. Okay, so the Lada sedan was just a Lada sedan. It didn't have its own little name like a Niva. Interesting. John Giddens, guy in Nelson, New Zealand, has a Hillman Imp with a Honda Goldwing engine in it on YouTube. Good grief. Wonder why you choose a Honda Goldwing engine. Weren't they like a horizontally opposed 4-cylinder in the Goldwing or something? That wasn't a typical Honda, high-tech, high-rev engine in the Goldwing, was it? It was some... Not that I'm much on motorbikes, but I seem to remember they were like a horizontally opposed or a big V twin or something like that on the Goldwings. But I'm sure you'll correct me on that. Don't Care Too sure was around mid 1980ish. Had Lada dealers for a while. Oh, cool. Very cool. Eric Wilson, I kind of would like to see one of those Trabant cars in person. I heard the body panels are made from cotton type material. Hadn't Trabant. I mean, I know of them. I don't know them. I know of the Trabant. Didn't realize they were panels made from a cotton type material. Wasn't aware of that. Hadn't really thought about it, what they were made of. John Giddens' mother had a Simca 1000. I remember those when I was a kid in Auckland. You would probably remember Skodas then, and what a terrible, terrible name the Skoda had. Like they were just the joke. If you drove a Skoda, you were just like lower than the lowest. They were terrible. Fred Nurk, Lada, 8 in the engine and 8 in the radio. Valves we're talking about here. 16 valves. Well, there you go. Yes. Do you know why Lada's had a heated rear windscreen or windshield? To keep your hands warm while you're pushing them. Tavo, Lada sedan was a Samara. Lada Samara. Yeah, that sounds right. I think that's what they called them in New Zealand too. Steve Sadusky, I bet we all wish we all had all our old cars today. Yeah, right. I had a GSR3 Mitsubishi Starion, which is the Conquest, the Chrysler Conquest. but the GSR3, which was the 2.4 turbo engine, and that would have been a cool one to have. Falcon GS panel van, worth a fortune today. Great car. An X. A number of V8 Falcons, which would all be not the early GT ones, but like 90s, 80s, 90s Falcons. All very desirable now. Yeah, like the list goes on. Snow Crusher. Latest fan might have had a name, but obviously forgettable. I think Tabo had it, the Samara. I think that's the name I'm thinking of. But that may not have been the case in Canada, of course. They may not have had a name in Canada. Driveway of Misfits. I don't know if the original 500 was ever sold here in the US. Mate, I would probably say no, they weren't. I mean, that was a car that was designed for very small, slow, narrow roads and small spaces. And when they were new, which was the early 60s, they would have just been run over on the interstates. They could not have kept up. They literally were 50 mile an hour, 55 maybe on a good day, flat out. Well, you couldn't do that on the interstate. There'd be, 27 Buicks would run you over before you knew what happened in the 60s, I would think it would have been dangerous to sell them new in the US. I really do. John Giddens, Lada Riva is the sedan. Okay. I don't recall that name, but okay. Stray Bullet Boxer engine. Okay. So like a flat four, kind of Porsche / Subaru-esque. Flat fours, then flat sixes, Snow Crusher, Goldwings. Okay. I knew there was something different about the Goldwing. It wasn't the traditional transverse, 4-cylinder screamer. Driveway of Misfits. Wasn't the Trabant's body made out of something like Dynaplast, paper scraps, and some sort of industrial waste products or something like that? Good grief, really? Wow. David Tyree, Lada Samara was a later one. Okay. Duroplast. Okay. John Giddings. Skoda in the 70s in New Zealand, socially unacceptable. That's actually a very good way of describing it. It really was. Like that was just the joke, the standing joke. Like now, talk about a company that's turned it around. Skoda's make some really nice, fast, competitive in motorsports cars. That whole social outcast thing is gone. Which is, that's a pretty good effort. Mind you, vastly different cars. Those Skodas that were horrible had the 4-cylinder rear-mounted engine and were just awful. They were that was when they were built in Czechoslovakia when it was communist. And very, 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 very cheap engineered vehicle. Stray Bullet, the Bambino. It was a Bambina. The last letter was A, not O, but Bambina. Would have been easiest to store. Yes, it would have for sure. You could put two in the trunk of it, like Steve's Oldsmobile, and one on the back seat probably. What's honoured to be Nono Quinn? I don't even know how to say that. Chica Quinn? No, haven't got that one. Cinco Centos. Is that how? Am I saying that right? How's my Spanish? Cinco Centos? Here in the US. Okay. I'm too busy focusing on the name rather than what you're talking about. Fran XB, oops, Dom. Okay, oops, what's that about, Fran? Driveway Misfits, looked it up. Duroplast was a resin reinforced with scraps from the fabric making industry. Oh, good Lord. Well, I mean, it was just a different era then, really, when you think about it, when like they had to do an awful lot with a very little. So yeah, it's it wasn't quite fiberglass, but I guess the fabric would have strengthened it. How about that? David Tyree, how about a Saint Bernard in the backseat of a Bambina? Knew a girl. Okay. And knew a girl who did. What, did her Saint Bernard? That's a whole nother topic, isn't it? Craig Nearing, have an 1100cc Goldwing. Oh, wow. Very cool. Very cool. Josh Homan, Volkswagen took them over and turned them around. Yes. I mean, Volkswagen and Audi and Skoda are kind of all in the same family, which is kind of, considering I drive an Audi now, it's kind of funny that, like, I wouldn't have been caught dead in a Skoda when I was in my teens. Like, just no way. You'd just be ostracized. John Geddins, New Zealand Police bought Skoda over the last Holden vehicles. Yeah, no, I'd heard about that. But yeah, really, not bad vehicles. Driveway of Misfits. History of the Skoda is quite interesting. They were a huge industrial conglomerate that made really high quality stuff prior to World War II. Interesting. I didn't know that. No, as you say, interesting. Stray Bullet, I like Bambino better. Driveway. Cinquecento. Okay. What's on it to be equals 500 in Italian Fiat. Okay. Fiat Cinquecento. Okay. There you go. James Austin, happy Fool Day. Yeah, you guys aren't April Fooling me, are you? You wouldn't do that to me, would you guys? Brayden LaForce, you were talking about some of the most horrible cars ever made. Yeah, isn't it? We all have our cars and we're talking about horrible shit boxes. Why is that? What's that about? Okay, 6th Street Garage, he's out. I got to be out. It's 1 minute past 9. We've almost hit our 2 hours. So, yeah, it's about time to go. We would have been on 2 hours if I'd got the damn system connected in time. I'm going to have to start trying to go live at about 5:27 now. It seems to take 5 minutes to get online. So, but that'll be next week. We'll try for next week to be on time. How about that? Craig Nearing, he's out of here. Trey Bullet, that explains a lot. Cinquecento? Oh, I'm really confused now. I have no idea how to pronounce that word now. I'm completely confused. All right, fellas. Okay, well, again, it's been great having you here. It's been a fun night. 2 hours has gone just like that, yet again. Thanks to all our international people, or our Aussies and Brazilians and Norwegians, and I'm sure there's some English people on here as well, and Canadians and Americans. So, hey, quite the diverse group. So that's cool. I really like that. So, Fred Nerg, hooroo. That's not a word I've heard for a long time. Ta-ta for that. G and Shaz, Cheese Kiwi from NO. Norway? Where's NO? Yeah. All right, fellas. Well, go out there, get out there, work on your cars, drive your cars, have some fun, and come back next Tuesday and tell me all about it. New Zealand. From North Island, North Island? No? What's NO short for? Or did you say, you're meaning from New Zealand? Sorry. Okay, I get it. From New Zealand. Yep. We got the international crew, and that's for sure. All right, fellas. Big Bob. Good night, mate. And look after yourselves. And I will see you next week. Same channel, same place. See you guys.